All right, welcome to the Asylum. This is episode 3.
Episode 3.
Today, this is Marco. I'm Marco, the owner of Arkham Asylum Comics in Daytona Beach, Florida.
And I'm Joe. I'm just some dude.
And just some dude.
I was just walking by one day, and Marco was
partner
like,
in crime.
"Hey, yeah."
Rando.
And who's that?
And who's that guy? And I'm going to introduce a great artist in the industry right now. In my opinion, probably top 5.
Thanks, man.
Nathan Zerdy. People know him pretty much, I'm pretty sure, for right now, DC majority, right? DC Comics
Well,
covers.
Split.
Yeah. Is it getting split?
Yeah,
Nice.
It's actually
nice.
more Marvel right now than it is DC.
So, if you don't mind, can you give us a little background from where you started to where you're at now?
Ever since I was little, I was drawing. Like in 3rd grade, I was in a high school art class with all girls, though. But this is like, what is that? Like 80s, I guess. I was late 80s.
Mhm.
And so from there, my first actual job, though, was doing caricatures at SeaWorld first for about 2 years. And then I left there and went to Universal because they use airbrush and pencil and you get to draw all day. They don't want you to like carnival bark at people. They just want you sitting down and drawing. And like coming out of high school, I had this like giant ego thinking I was God's gift to art. But as soon as you get into the real art world, like professional world, you get around guys who are 10 times better. There were guys who were former Disney animation that I worked with at Universal, and at SeaWorld, there was one too named Christian Slade, who actually works in comics now. Nothing mainstream, I don't think, but he has his own graphic novel and stuff like that. He's pretty good. But I worked with him at SeaWorld, and then I worked with a couple of Disney animation guys like Lee Williams over at Universal. And I did that for like close to 10 years.
And what exactly did you do there at Universal?
So draw people.
Okay.
All day.
Caricatures.
Oh, okay.
Caricatures.
Campbell, J. Scott Campbell actually used to do caricatures.
Oh,
and
wow, I
like it
didn't
would be
know that.
fun to like find like one of those old characters that he had done and just to like see
Yeah.
that autograph on there, like if it's changed or not. I used to sign my name just like Nate and like a quick signature, like date it kind of thing. I didn't sign it Zerdy like I do now. I've seen a few of them since I like left that job, but like you learn to draw faces pretty well. And like it was a lot of education. It was just nonstop drawing. That's all it was. And like you can make a decent living. Like if you're committed to it, like you can make a good living. Like
doing caricatures at a park?
Yeah. If you're a young kid coming up and you want to like, you know, that was bigger. That's more schooling than anything for me, is being around those guys, because we would hang out after work and do these like sessions where we just drew, and it was great. And being in that like environment is really inspiring as you're coming up. And like, and this is before any of the digital stuff was really like popular. Like you could tell when the digital age came about is kind of like when the coloring, like all the digital earlier on coloring in like the early 90s in Marvel was like terrible.
Right.
It was so bad. But like you can tell when people were starting to get a hang of it and things adapted and stuff like that. But yeah.
Oh. So you said digital. I've never, like, I've seen you sit there and you do everything by hand from what I've seen. So do you do digital, like when you do your covers?
Yeah. No. I do a good mix of the two. I like doing digital work with like a Wacom, like a big one. But I still love doing stuff by hand. Like I don't think that'll ever go away. I always carry like something always with me, like sketchbook, sketch cover. But even when I go on vacation, I still have something with me. I don't take any tablets or anything like that because I don't like the Cintiqs and things like that. I just want something, just the simplest of things with the Wacom, the large tablet, and just so I can sit there and I can still stare at the screen, but my hands like out of the way, if that makes sense. Because like you're working down here, you're drawing on the board in your lap, but you're actually looking up at the screen. So like,
okay.
Whereas like when you're working on paper, like your hand can still be in the way, and I want to see like the whole layout. Sometimes is what helps me when I'm working digitally. But like,
wow, that's so much different.
Yeah.
That's like completely different. I didn't know that's how that worked. I thought when you said that, it was more like a Procreate kind of thing where it's like a tablet and you're drawing on the tablet and you're seeing it? Or
No. Like for me, digital, that's how I work.
Okay.
there's everybody has their own like thing, but like when we were traveling through Switzerland over last summer, I actually finished 2 covers when I was over there, just watercolor on paper. And then when I got home, I scanned the whole thing in. One was the Feora cover, which is Superman cover. It was out everywhere. And then the other was an exclusive for Unknown Comics. That was the Black Queen, I think it was. Yeah, the whole time I was going through Switzerland, I actually drew all this stuff out. And then when I got home, I scanned them both in, and then I worked on them digitally, because digital just color is going to pop. Like, I'll give you a good example. Like David Nakayama's stuff is very like pop, like very digital, like, but it's those solid blocks of color. And like to do that traditionally would not work in that sense. Like that just would not work the same at all. It would not stand out as much. His stuff, it works for that reason, just because they're these solid colors. They're the brightest, they're the boldest, and you know, it works great on toys, things like that.
So is it less work doing digital, or
no? Not necessarily. No? Like my stuff, it depends on what it is. Like if it's a tattooed superhero, it'll take at least 2 weeks. Like,
wow, yeah,
because you got to design all those tattoos. My sketchbook's full of these tattoo designs, and then you got to scan those in and piece it together like a puzzle, and then you got to color everything to make it look right. Like all the colors have to work to blend, and everything has to go well. Like it can't just be like blah, you know. You can see it when it's bad. There are a lot of guys who will copy me now online, and you can see when like they're just not putting in the effort. Like there was one I saw recently. It was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, and they had done April O'Neil up, and they just like stole art from online, like Turtles. And it was bad, man. Like I was just like, this is
like tattoos.
This is an insult.
Yeah, okay.
Just to make tattoos. Like they weren't drawing their own stuff. They were just being lazy and like stealing stuff that already existed. And that's not how you're supposed to do
so
this.
Did you call them out?
I didn't call them out. I mean, I'm calling them out right now.
I was gonna say you're not very shy. You know what I mean? If you see something.
As far as like online goes, though, like you gotta be careful about that stuff, because just fans of the other people, a lot of people are just ignorant and they don't know better. They don't know what they're looking at sometimes. And so like AI, for instance, like some people just can't see when it is, when most of us can, like, and it, like a lot of people are having a fit over it. Just seeing that kind of stuff.
That's crazy, because my next thing I was going to ask you about.
Well, before we get into the AI, I just want to say, how cool is it that you just said a little while ago, you're like, these people are copying me. Like you have your art out there and people are like, oh yeah, it's so cool, right? It must be.
It's nice to an extent, but it also shows like lack of originality too. Like, because there's like people copying a lot of my ideas that I started, and it's just like, oh man, this is painful that you guys like. And I tell people, like, if I'm working on stuff, like I'm working on a series of things now, and I tell people, don't, like, if I'm showing you something, like, don't ever talk to anybody about this. Don't show anybody else. Like, and like those are people I trust though in that circle. And like, it's just one of those things. Like, if you have a good idea too, not to mention, like, this is important in comics and in art in general. Like, if you have a good idea that hasn't been done before, that'll outsell bad art sometimes. Like you can be a bad artist, but if you have a good idea,
right? No, you're
and
right.
you make that thing, like a good example, and they're not going to listen to this anyway. Is this guy I know did?
You never know. You never know.
Well, you never know.
I'm just kidding.
But I won't name names. How's that? He did. They'll know by this though. They did a box, an actual physical box that was Will Wheaton, but it was Will Wheatthins.
Oh.
And then is terrible art on the box, but it was a brilliant idea. So like, great idea. And Will Wheaton actually saw it, posted a picture like with him with it, like all excited about it. And like he sold like 500 units
like
of this thing.
Free advertising right there. You know?
In like one day though. And it just overnight, boom, you know, and that shows right there. All you need sometimes is that one good idea.
Yeah, and you know, like we have all these like video games out there, right? And you have this like video game that's like backed by like some big company, and the graphics are like beautiful. Yeah. But if the gameplay is like not there, it's a waste, right? But then you can have this game that's like Minecraft,
or Roblox,
exactly, right? That's
looks like crap. And,
but it's
the
like
gameplay
the kids
is
are
a
addicted.
blast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's the whole deal with it, is you don't always have to have the best artist doing something. You just have to have, a good idea. An
Or a good
original
story.
thought
It's
is
got to be at
important.
least a good story.
Yeah, we were just talking about
Yeah.
that. We were just talking about that
Comics,
last episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
George Perez told me about a comic book idea that he had. It was a Batman storyline that he had pitched to DC, and it was brilliant. I'm not gonna talk about it, but like it just went to the ether though. It just it never came to fruition. DC knows about it. They have the pitch and stuff like that, but it never became.
I believe we met first. Did you ever do Daytona Comic Con?
I think it was Daytona. No, wait, hold on. No, I didn't do Daytona. I did the land.
That must have been it, where I met you first.
Yeah.
And then I had you do a couple of covers for me, and then you came to my restaurant time, and that's when you came and delivered them.
Yeah.
And that's when I remember when I saw your artwork, and this was like, obviously not the very beginning, but this was before you did like published covers.
Oh yeah, that was definitely like way before.
And I was just like, I remember saying to you, I'm like, bro, because you have a style all your own, and I'm like, you're gonna go somewhere. You're gonna go somewhere. You're like, yeah, I hope so. You're like,
yeah,
that's the goal.
You
like,
hear that. You hear that a lot when you're like at shows and stuff. Like people will come up and be like, oh man, I love your work. But it comes down to somebody coming up, and honestly, what a lot of the publishers now want to see is that a retailer will pick you up, and that they'll use you on a cover multiple times. That way there's no financial risk for the actual publisher. So like if Marvel sees that a retailer is paying 20 grand or more, typically it's way more than that. You can buy a Tesla for most variant covers.
Wow.
Or you can do a variant cover. Tesla, variant cover, whichever. And so when Marvel sees that you are getting utilized a lot and that retailers want to use you constantly, that's when Marvel will go, well, hey, if they're going to invest all this in this one guy, why don't we try him out for an actual cover with us as well? That's how I got into DC, is because of that. So Ben Abernathy, the group editor at DC at the time, he now works for Skybound. But at the time, he was like, hey, let's use you on a cover. So my first cover was Deathstroke Inc. #5 with Black Canary on the cover, the 1 in 25. So it's got a bunch.
That's good to know. So that's your first published cover.
That's my first one with DC Comics exclusively. Whereas the other ones were all retailer variants. It wasn't that it was my first like DC cover. That was the Wonder Woman, Power Girl, Supergirl cover. Oh gosh, I forget the title of it though. It was the multiverse thing going on. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you got, someone used you, like wanted, like they're like, hey, we want to do a variant cover.
Yeah.
We want to use you. That was before that's how you got pretty much your big break.
That's pretty much how everybody gets in now. Yeah.
I thought it was like, okay, so like New York Comic Con, I always see like they have things on there and it says they'll meet people to look at their portfolios and stuff.
Marvel still does portfolio reviews, and a lot of it's for like interior guys.
Okay.
It's not that those interior guys don't also do covers as well, but a lot of the times the interior work is just overlooked anymore. Like, that's a crucial element though, obviously.
Yeah, it seems very tedious and a lot of work.
Yeah,
is that something you would think about doing?
You don't get like the praise and stuff like that. It's usually like if Alex Ross does a cover or something like that, that's who's going to get the praise for the cover. Like, oh, did you see those Alex Ross covers?
Yeah.
Forget those 3 other people who worked on the book.
Right, the whole book.
Yeah, but Alex Ross, come on, like, give me a break.
Would you venture into that? Interiors?
I actually have my own interiors for I've done my own graphic novel called Lola and the 11 Secrets, and then there's a sequel to that's Lola and the Last Secret that's coming out. But it's being finished up, like all the words and lettering and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
So, which brings me to this. When I knew I was getting on the show, I'm like, I have to ask him about this because it's going crazy right now.
Yeah.
Like the whole AI thing.
Oh, it's insane.
And you mentioned a little earlier that some people can look at it and they, like, as an artist, you can see it.
Yeah.
And I like to draw too, but like I see it and I'm like, I question it. I'm like, is that AI or is it not? Because
You
everything right now, there's so much, there's so close. There's so many
You can
artists.
tell from a few things. It's perfect. Like as far as like the lines and things like that, there's no imperfections whatsoever. Like if I draw something on paper and I scan it in, you're gonna see like, oh, that's rough, that's pencil, like he erased there, like this is all this scrubbing and it's gonna be dirty a little bit. You know, it's not perfect. With AI stuff, it is like usually perfect lines. Like this shade is, you know, for the outline is just there's no disturbance in it whatsoever. It is just flawless, and that's an easy way to tell. Granted, you have to see something in like high resolution, but like it would be easy for somebody who doesn't use AI to prove that they don't use AI just by like let's see your image. Like that's all you have to do. Zoom in, look at
progress, right?
Yeah. And there's some people now who will take an AI image and then they'll like
touch it up.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that going on in comics, and I think that's one of the problems. And then you lose styles. Like you lose the actual imprint, the fingerprint of the artist who's working on it. And that's a big deal. And you know, who are you gonna get your stuff like remarked by? Who are you gonna get your stuff? Are you gonna get a sketch from this guy at a con? Like you're kidding yourself. There's an artist who does remarks now, but they are like stamped images. Like you can tell it's just a stencil trace.
Just all same one
if
over
your
and over
remarks
again.
are all like 2 inches by 3 inches and they're exact same thing every time, and you can't even work around somebody's simple request to like, oh, I want a Power Girl, but could you put a Santa hat on her? And you just do the same exact thing. That's a red flag. I'm sorry. Like that, you're not fooling me anyway. Like if I draw Batman 20 times, each time I draw him, it's never going to match up to the other one. Like if I overlay them, it will never match up.
Right.
Ever.
But why would you want to draw the same thing twice?
Oh man, it drives me crazy to do that stuff. Like people have asked me to like, oh, could you recreate this cover that you did or whatever? I'm like, no, I would rather like scrape my eyeballs out of my skull. Like that sounds terrible. Like I know a lot
That's
of
a lot
artists,
of work to do something exactly the same.
It's exhausting. It's boring. Like it's not like it takes me a while to do a cover. I spend time. You'll see me erase and go back over things. Like you never get things right. I like to step away from something once I start sketching it and come back to it. If I've like spent hours on it already, I'm like, I need to just step away from this. I'm not doing something right. I need to look at it again. You know.
Does that mean you go to something else or you just take a break?
No, I usually, both. It depends on like right now I'm working on ASM 50 cover for that. And then I'm doing what is the other thing? I'm doing something like an exclusive for Comic Traders of Canada. And then I've got another ASM like 51 right after that, I think.
Nice.
But like, so I'll go back and forth though. Like if I'm just losing my mind on something that's been tedious, like if it's background or character details or whatever, hair, like
is that your big thing? Hair? Is that the worst thing?
No, it's not the worst for sure. Like there's definitely worse, but like if you're working on buildings, like that's pretty terrible. Like window, square.
Yeah, you like the focus of the object. Yeah.
I love the figure is the most important, obviously.
Right.
And then lighting and color and blah blah blah.
So do you think that, I mean, in my opinion, I think pretty much majority is AI is going nowhere.
So in China, they made a ruling about AI, and I hope they bring it over to America. Anna Zhou sent it to me. It was a legal stance. They deem that you can't have it. Like you can use it for fun kind of deal, but like it has to be hand drawn. And that's the difference. And like, cause AI, like I don't think we've said it, but like AI should be like, there needs to be a new definition because people keep on using AI artist, and it's not an AI artist. It's an AI prompter. All you're doing is typing in prompts. You're not actually drawing anything.
Is that literally how it works?
Doesn't make you an artist. And to think that's just BS. Like it is. It just simply is.
So you just type in stuff and it just creates an image from what
prompts.
you got?
Yeah. So you type in words and like big boobs. And all of a sudden,
90% of it right there.
Yes. So like, and all of a sudden pictures show up of big boobs. So can it be a tool? It's a gray area. I don't even know if I want to answer that yet. Just because like I don't have enough information on that.
Right.
But as far as like using that solely, no, that's a big dumb no.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know there's been like right now there's like a lot going on. People are saying something about this. There was I think a Batman issue where some of the interiors was done.
It looks bad.
Yeah, because of the transition, this guy's
if you look at
his artwork.
Yeah, you don't go from that style to that style
instantly.
To that style instantly. It's not that guy can't draw necessarily, but when you're trying to cut corners and, you know,
that's what they were saying. Maybe
essentially
he was meeting
at
deadlines.
this stage, like I would call it cheating.
Yeah.
So are you saying that he used like AI?
So there's a
they're saying he used AI, and if you look at this stuff, it looks
in the issue like he has Joker, and then the next panel Joker looks completely different. Like the art style is different.
As an artist, like one of the reasons a lot of like Marvel and DC will hire you is because they want things to look uniform. Yes, that's the best word. And so that's why like when art, like there's some issues, like usually comics that are struggling to get a start sometimes, but they'll use like 8 different artists and it just doesn't seamlessly transition from page to page. It's like all of a sudden like, whoa, what happened? Is that the same guy? Like I can't tell. Like, is that so?
Yeah, and then I know there was a big thing because you remember this, was it Spawnuary?
Oh man, that's a mess.
Where
it said in the rules that you're not allowed to use AI, and the guy who
admitted it, he's proud of it.
I mean, if you look at his stuff, it is 100% AI.
He promotes himself as an AR artist.
But like, holy crap!
Yeah.
The one way to win an argument though is never to go on the attack as defensive and just horribly offensive as that guy was to everybody who questioned him. I would say that guy knows that he's guilty as sin.
Right.
Just because like nobody who's like innocent runs as fast as that guy is running.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can be honest. Like,
I'm curious to see what they're gonna do about it.
Well, I mean, Todd loves the attention, I'm sure. Like, I mean, if it was a marketing thing, if they did this for marketing reasons, it was genius.
Yeah.
Because, like, people are talking more about Spawn than Spawn #1.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was fast and furious with the comments. And whether good or bad, like, I heard a lot of shops say, like, I'll quit carrying his book if they're going to start running that garbage.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, for collectors, for guys who love comics, like, to me, it was always like, and that was what inspired me to want to collect comics, was that these guys drew it, you know, and like they worked their butt off. And some people are comparing it to like, oh, well, when Photoshop came around, this and that. Nah, it's not the same, because like Photoshop
is work.
You can still draw.
And it's work.
Oh, it is. It's definitely work. But like, and to transition things correctly and things like that, there's a lot. You're still working with at least I'm working with a tablet and, you know, something that I scanned in typically to work on, even with Photoshop or whatever illustration program that people are using. But that's the difference, is that AI takes drawing out of it. There's no drawing. And so it's not the same as like everything that's come in the past, you know? So like, do I agree with their statement? Not at all. Like, I don't think Photoshop, at the time people were like, oh, I'm scared, you know, I'm so terrified. And like in a different medium, jumping over, Disney 2D animation, they got rid of it when Toy Story came out, remember? Like, and people were all freaking out, like, oh, 3D is taking over. Like, you're taking away the artists, you know, this and that. But like, there were still 2D artists working for Disney, like storyboard artists, character designers, things like that. You're still working a lot. And if anything, it created more jobs in the industry, maybe different jobs, but like still jobs in the industry. And there's still 2D animation around. Like, it's not like it's gone away. Like, look at Castlevania is a good example.
Yeah.
That was all 2D animation. That is gorgeous. Like, that first miniseries that they did
on Netflix.
yeah, just, oh man, the writing, the animation, just orgasmic, man. Like,
that brought me back to the SNES days.
Yeah, so good. And I will rewatch that. I've watched that like 4 or 5 times, and I still like, oh, this is so good.
Do you think the big companies, Marvel, DC, even Image, do you think this is gonna like open their eyes to be like, well, this could be? I mean, in essence, anybody can really do this.
It depends on who's the editor. It depends on who's in charge.
Do you think it's gonna hurt you guys, the actual real artists? Do you think it could hurt you guys?
If people are buying those books more, it will absolutely hurt the traditional guys like Mark Brooks, Alex Ross, et cetera, anybody that draws, man. Anybody that actually draws by hand, absolutely, yeah. Like, if they start selling it and it outsells everything else, and that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of the celeb artists, and thank God I'm in the industry now. Oh my God.
Right? Yeah.
Like, because now it's just everybody's finger pointing and, oh, this guy's AI. He's using AI now.
You hear it nonstop.
Nonstop. And the other thing is with social media is that if you start keying into those things and commenting on those things, that's all you're going to see in your feed. And that's the other thing I can't stand, because like all these pages now popping up that are just fake pages, like AI this, AI that. There are like the fake homes and things like that. You see images of those, these kids with these amazing sculptures that are obviously like a fake AI image, but and the image will say like, nobody will like my amazing 7-year-old's, Last Supper recreation in wood. Like, give me a break. Nobody's kid did this garbage. And you can tell it's AI.
Yeah.
You can tell by looking at it. It's like, that kid has 6 fingers.
Yeah. Usually that's where it's like the hands and like the arms and stuff like that. You can tell.
That's what they say. AI, a lot of the images, you don't see fingers or toes.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for it to generate it.
It's just creepy imagery.
It
like
is.
that to me, like, and it's just like one note after a while. Like, it all starts looking the same. Like, the more you're around it, the more it's just, and that's why artists here's a good point though. That's why artists now have a stronger it's more important than ever that they have a stronger voice, but show it. Don't talk about it. Don't blame AI. Just do the work and do something original that hasn't been done, that AI can't copy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an important thing, because like some of the more recent stuff that I'm working on is stuff that like it will take a long time for AI to do something like what I'm doing. Like, I just did a cover with Anna. It's just a for fun cover that we're doing on my Zerdy Girls book, but like we did a front and back cover and they match up 100%. But when you flip over the cover, it's like the back of the character. And like,
so the front of the character's in the front and in the back. Okay.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, that's gonna be hard for like AI will not match. Like, a lot of the times when these AI prompters are doing their, quote unquote prompts, they get like a batch, like 10 images, and like they'll pick like out of those 10, like, oh, this one looks good. They didn't draw it, but all of a sudden they're an artiste, right? Prompter is the term.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about like AI and stuff like that, is you're never gonna get that human aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Even in all the movies, the Terminator movies, or any kind of movie with like robots or AI, they don't have that human like emotion almost in a way, and the creativity of like a human.
One easy thing too is if you have like more than one character too. Like, I did a Gotham City Sirens cover, and I tried to show the expression in each of them, like like the character, because like Harley's a goofball, she's insane, she loves Ivy. There's a lot you can play with there, and like, so you can have her looking at Ivy, interacting, and same for like Ivy and Harley. Obviously Ivy would give her a loving look. Harley's mouth might be smiling, like looking at her like a goofball, tongue sticking out. And then Catwoman was in it too. So Catwoman is more like the serious, sultry, she don't need no man kind of attitude. So there's a lot you can play with just facial expression wise. And like, that's a thing that will take a long time for like that type of stuff to catch up with. Cause a lot of the time when you see stuff, it doesn't fit the character when AI does it. And then you can tell when just artists need an education when they don't have the character a part of the cover. So like if they all have that same stupid duck-lipped, almost blow-up doll expression on themselves, pardon the language, but like you can tell like, oh, this artist needs some work. That you still have artists not recognizing that, and that needs to be brought back out quick because it's an important part of the cover. If you don't have the character in the cover, it's because that's just it.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. They're doing some of the comics now where you can't tell what comic it is if you're looking at the cover.
Yeah,
you know,
and like that's gonna bite somebody in the butt, man. Like that's the bottom line, because like all this stuff with the
like the
Tay-Tay is a good example because there's all these covers with her on it, but none of them are actually Marvel.
Right.
But they'll still do like, oh, Dazzler cosplay and stuff like that. You're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
Like Marvel will blacklist your ass.
Yeah.
You will not be working on no Marvel books ever if Marvel sees that stuff. Like the second they see it, like if you're a retailer currently with Marvel and all of a sudden you do one of those, because I know somebody got called out for it recently who's currently a Marvel retailer, and like Marvel was like, what the is this? And they're like, oh, it wasn't, I was just getting it from this guy, kind of like they were pointing to somebody else.
They're doing the Spider-Man like point, whatever.
yeah, exactly. The 3-way. And but yeah, he just like, oh
yeah. I see it a lot now. I just see like a lot of retailers. Seems like they're just starting to go at each other.
Yeah, I mean, here when it comes to retailers, it's all a lot of drama. Unfortunately, like there was something that happened with me recently, and I wrote a thing to Marvel when they were asking me to do a cover. I was like, I can't do that cover, and they were like, why? And they're like, I feel like a kid in divorce. Like I can't do that cover, and they didn't. So the director of Marvel calls me, a really nice guy. Ricky is the director, and he calls me up, and he's like, hey, I just wanted to chat. I wanted to go over one of these comments, like you sent in an email, like, what is this? And I was like, oh. And so I explained to him, like, oh, there's two retailers, like, essentially getting a divorce. I love them both, and like they both help me in different ways. And so like, but I feel like I'm tiptoeing because I'm, and I don't want to. They were essentially, Marvel was trying to asked me if I want to do a cover, but by doing that cover, they were going to push this other cover for a different retailer. And I was like, I can't say yes to that. Like, if you're going to push their cover to a later date, like, I can't say yes to that because I'm in between, like a kid in a divorce. And that's what I explained to him. And so he's like, oh, I was unaware of that situation, and I'll keep it between you and me, yada, yada. But that's essentially what it was. So.
Wow. So yeah, I guess it's safe to say that I mean, it seems like it's going to be an issue moving forward for a while, at least AI.
AI? Oh yeah, gosh, yeah. Like it's popping up more and more often. And I think the thing that came to a head with it was Todd McFarlane. I hope that America picks up speed like China did and nip it in the butt sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because like one of the things that they decided here though is that none of that stuff can be copyrighted or protected if you are using AI. But the problem is, you have to still prove that they're using AI. But that's the bottom line. So they need to do something about it here in the courts legally, and somebody who has money needs to do it.
Yeah, sooner than later.
Hopefully, yeah. I agree.
So, I've been to your place once to get some stuff signed, and you showed me some things in one of the rooms you work in.
Yeah.
And I know you're a collector.
Oh yeah, big time.
So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite item in your collection?
Favorite. Oh man. I'd say like my Black Canary, first one on the cover. It's like Flash Comics. I forget the number, but it's her busting out. It's technically her first cover appearance. The one before it, there's a dinosaur on the cover. It's Flash Comics as well, but she's not on the cover. And so I'm like, I don't want that one. I want this one.
So it's her first cover appearance?
First cover appearance, yeah.
So it's a book.
It is, yeah. And it's signed also by Joe Giella, and then it's graded 7.0 CGC.
How old's that book?
1950s, I think. Yeah, like early, and I love it. That's one of my like favorites. I've also got like X-Men #1 from 1964.
Nice.
I think the grade's like
grade on that one?
5, I think, or 5.5.
It's a nice one.
Something like that. I've got a Hulk 181, also CGC'd. I love signatures though. Like I'm a big signature whore. Like I love the old guys though.
On books?
Not so much like on books. Yeah. Not so much modern, like Nick Cardy, who worked on the first Aquaman issue in 1960 something. He helped create Black Manta.
It's one of my favorite villains.
Yeah, Mira, not the movie version. Get that drunk out of here. We don't want no drama. And
no poop on pillows.
Yeah, no pooping in the bed. And he worked on a ton of stuff. Like Sheldon Moldoff too. Jerry Robinson, who created the Joker and Robin. Sheldon Moldoff created like Poison Ivy.
So you're in this deep. Like you're in this deep. Because you're spitting out names like I don't even know.
Batman universe, especially. Like I can name everybody from Dick Sprain to, like more modern, like Norm Rapman and stuff like that. Like all those guys inspired me growing up.
So obviously you were a collector before you even started getting into all this.
No, like I was drawing since I was little, and I would still like get a lot of the books to like look at. When I was like in like middle school, I would pick up books just to like look at poses in comics, and I would try to mimic those poses. Like one of my first ones was like it was a Whilce Portacio Uncanny X-Men. It was like one of the first appearances of Bishop. And like that was like one of the first times I ever picked up a comic. I was at the Flea World in Orlando.
Wow, in
Remember
Sanford?
That? Yeah. It was
that was a badass flea market.
Yeah, there was a comic book store in there, like a ghetto little comic book store. Not like awesome, like you guys have a better shop. Come on. But like I also picked up Captain Atom as well. And those were like the two of my first books though that I got. So
wow, yeah.
But I know all the artists, man, from like that 90s era, especially. Like
I remember I was in middle school when I started collecting too, but it wasn't cool back then,
Oh yeah.
Like I would never bring my comics to school or talk about comics in school.
Yeah.
Now it's different.
Yeah.
Like
with the Marvel movies and Disney like that.
Yeah, my stepson goes to school and that's all people talk about now, superheroes, comics.
Yep.
It's different. Back then they were like, you nerd, you know what I mean? Like
it was like same thing with like Star Wars back then.
Oh, forget it. Like, you didn't want to talk about it.
No, you didn't want the Star Wars lunchbox.
Now everyone's like fighting over it.
Yeah. Now you're like, how much is it worth?
Now, my middle school, everybody was pretty accepting of whatever you wanted to do, but we were in a nicer area. Bunch of yuppies over in Bay Hill. Like a bunch of yuppies, man. We didn't have a lot of money though growing up. My parents didn't anyway. But like the kid across the street, his grandfather was one of the main stockholder of like TWC, Time Warner Cable.
Oh wow!
And so like he got everything, man. Like he wrecked like I want to say like at least 2 or 3 cars and a motorcycle, and just like got a new one.
Wow, must be nice.
Yeah, not me. I had a 1986 Ford Escort with a hatchback. Was my first car. My dad got it for $600.
Yeah, mine was a Ford Tempo.
Yeah, baby.
It was like poop brown or something.
Mine was a Ford Escort, gray Ford Escort.
Really?
Oh man, Ford Escort. Yeah. Mine was white and like it was stick shift too. And so like when we sold it for like $400, I think, and like the girl
it's like a tire now. Right?
Yeah, the girl got into an accident with it. Who was driving it? She got T-boned.
Oh man!
And she like calls me up. She's like, "How do you get the CD player out?" I'm like, "If that's the only thing you're worried about, just forget it." Good grief!
CD player. Cars have CD players. Still?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. Hey man, this was it was 1998. That was when I got my first car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm older than both of you, so.
Mine was probably like 90, around that time too.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine was 93.
What year? 93?
Yeah.
What year did you graduate?
Me?
Yeah.
99.
Oh, really? I'm 2000.
I'm
nice.
93.
Yeah.
Nice. So what do you want to, is there anything you want to promote or anything? Like Zerdy Girls, can you talk a little bit about Zerdy Girls? I know that's your own book.
It's just my own pinup book.
Yeah.
Like I come out with like a new book every year, and then a new cover just about once a month. It's just for whatever I want to work on, just for fun. And like a lot of times I'll do like collabs with like Anna Jo and stuff like that. But like a lot of times I'll do stuff just on my own.
Yeah, and you're doing, what's the other woman's name that you do stuff with that lives in Orlando?
Bianca.
Bianca, because you do some stuff with her, like on your Whatnot, there was something you collabed on
like
too,
we're
right?
doing Huntsville's coming up, Huntsville Comic-Con. That's like 2 weeks away, week and a half, something like that. But I'm going up there, and then we're gonna do a Whatnot show right before the show. Because Whatnot's actually doing an online convention, and so like we're one of the first people on there.
Online convention.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
But like I'll have Bianca and Anna are gonna be at that show, so that'll be fun.
So you guys are all gonna be sitting next to each other, pretty much then?
Yeah. It's literally boom, 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 right next to each other. So that's
cool.
Anna's definitely a character.
Oh man, she's great for the comic
awesome.
community.
Yeah.
Like I know,
Yeah.
like she wants everybody to like speak out. And because I don't feel like enough people speak out, but I think a lot of people are trying to protect their jobs as well.
Yeah.
And so some people are afraid to speak out.
She's not. She's definitely not.
But like she's gonna have a voice no matter what. That's her personality. Period. So, but she's a good person to have in your corner for sure.
Yeah. So what's your website and stuff?
Zerdy, SZERDY.com. It's got all my covers, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they can find a lot of your stuff like on Unknown Comics.
Yeah,
are you exclusive to them?
No, I'm not exclusive to them. It's 616 Comics and Unknown Comics. I do a lot for.
And they can get a ton of your books.
Yeah.
On either one of them.
Yeah,
right?
like Unknown, you can get them a lot cheaper. Like 616 has made it to where like the print runs are only like, for the Virgin, they'll have only 600. Through Marvel, and then they'll do like the regular print run as well, but then like the Virgin, they'll limit a lot more. Whereas like you can get them a lot, like you can get different books from Unknown for cheaper, but like through 616, there's a lot fewer books, like copies anyway, not just.
But the print runs are lower.
But the print runs are a lot lower, so like you'll definitely pay more at 616. So, but you will not find those same books at Unknown anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know my favorite cover. Well, it's a toss up. The Harley Quinn you did where she was upside down, like where she was laying back. Which cover was that? 75.
So it was used twice. There was I think it was number 23. I want to say was the issue number. It was a B cover though. It was the Virgin where she was upside down. The A cover was different.
Where she was like half body. Upside down, that one? Okay.
Yeah. The A cover, the trade dress was actually, it was her and Ivy in like a Target Looney Tunes looking background. And that one, they used the Harley upside down with the tattoos though on like another cover later. I think it was like 30 or 32 or something like that.
Yeah,
but it was a gold
like that,
foil.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, that one. But then you just released one that's up there. Like 1A, 1B for me. Is that the homage you did for Batman Adventures 12?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Batman Adventures. That's a Harley Quinn. Yeah. I don't know what issue specifically, but yeah.
I think it dropped today or
no. Oh, it might come out today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we got some from Stephen McDonald.
Cool.
So we're really excited about getting that in the shop. But
yeah,
it's gonna take a couple weeks to get here.
I love that cover. Like I was like, I turn in, like, I don't always want to do homages, but like once in a while, like I'll turn in one out of the 4 roughs that I turn in. And like, because there's a lot of people like saying like, oh, comics have no original thought anymore. And that's not true. There's a lot of original thought still. But like when it comes to retailers, though, they're going to go for the book cover that's going to sell.
Right.
And like, that's if they're investing money into you, a ton of money into you, they want that book to move. They don't want it to sit on the shelves and go, oh, but he had an original thought, but it doesn't sell at all. But at least he had an original thought. No, that's not the way retailers are going to be thinking. They want, they want sexy for one is going to sell a little bit more.
That sells more than anything.
Yeah. And then the other thing is if you do an homage, it's going to sell. But you got to have the right artist too. Just because you do an homage does not mean it's going to sell either. And so like, but with that Batman Adventures 12, I've been thinking about that for 10 years, man. Like getting to do that was a dream come true for me. I was stupid excited to be able to do that.
I feel like that cover was originally made for you to do. Like when you look at that cover, it's like I can see your style on that cover. You know what I'm saying?
So,
like I can see the similarities.
Well, the thing for me with the Bruce Timm, it wasn't, that cover wasn't done by Bruce Timm though. That was done by Puckett, wasn't it? Mike?
I thought it was Tim.
No, it was not.
Okay.
No, he might have redrawn it later, which I think he probably did, but that cover was not drawn by Tim.
Okay.
The Supergirl and Batgirl covers were done by Tim, though,
okay.
the number ones, the Adventures ones or whatever. But that one was done by Parobeck. Sorry,
okay.
Mike Parobeck. That's who did it, and he passed away like shortly after doing that, unfortunately. But I try to keep all of the gestural lines still present while still retaining my style, and so that was my goal for that cover, and then to like make those colors just pop. So, like, I think it came out good, but...
No, it came out awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks,
I mean,
man.
People want it so bad here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not just trying to blow smoke up your ass.
Blow my ego up.
But in our store, you're the most popular artist.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, when the comics come out and, like, you're doing a lot of, like, B covers. Like, DC and stuff like that.
There's this Zatanna cover coming out for Superman.
Okay.
It's not announced yet. It's not even in the solicits yet. It's the next solicits that they do. It'll be in there though that you'll want to get.
I always like order in abundance when I see that you have a cover.
Yeah.
And I sell out every time.
Yeah, this one's gonna be hot. I promise you, because it was the first time that DC let me do a Zatanna cover. So I did my own thing. It's on a Superman book though, but like I just went for it. I was like, I'm gonna play this like it's my last book. And like I just went for it. They did not change a thing.
That's awesome.
I even put like Zatanna all over, like the words, like Zatanna in the background, giant. So I don't know how they're putting that on a Superman book, but it's there. Yeah. I think people are, when they get in the comic book shop though, are still gonna file it under Zatanna, just based on the lettering.
Not Superman, huh?
Yeah, not Superman. I'll be interested to see how that goes. But
that's the cover I'm talking about. That's the cover he did.
That's for the Batman one?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Which one is that? Oh, Batman Adventures. Yeah.
And so that's the one he did, and then the original.
So like on that Batman Adventures one, I did everything, including the logos, the Comic Code Authority, and everything like that. All that.
Yeah,
was
it looks
done
identical.
By me.
It looks identical.
Yeah. I had fun with it.
So I know there was 3 covers, A, B, and then a C, right?
Yeah, there was a blood splatter background, and then there was just a virgin with no trade dress or anything, and that's the foil.
So I was honestly, I was like, he's gonna do one like a D with tattoos or something. No, you decided not to go into that.
Honestly, if they ever get me to do another one, they'll probably do like modern day Harley and stuff like that as the same style though, or switch it up and do like Harley in the center and different characters on the outside.
Gotcha.
But we'll see. I give them options. It's usually like 3 to 4 different cover options, but it comes down to like, I know the retailer wants an homage once in a while and stuff like that, and they want what's gonna sell. So.
Yeah, I mean, I like homages. I mean,
I do. Yeah, as long as it's
like, not constantly repeated, right?
Like ASM 300 and like a lot, like
or Spider-Man 1.
I'm not knocking anybody, but there's a ton of McFarlane books that are homaged all the time. Right. But man, there's other artists and there are other artists who who have done covers much better, but aren't getting the attention. Like Dick Giordano, who is a local to Florida in this area too. Phenomenal artist. His Rogues Gallery cover for Batman. I did an homage for that.
I have the print.
Yeah. And just because nobody was looking at it, everybody just, what? Who cares? You know, kind of deal. I'm just like, you guys are forgetting like the greats, man. You're just so focused on that. They put some artists on a pedestal, and I'm like, they're better artists, man.
Neil Adams has quite a few, but he's well deserving. I mean,
Adams,
he's one of the best,
his stuff was so groundbreaking for like 60s, 70s. Like his Green Lantern 76 cover, his
Batman covers,
any Batman cover that he did at the time was just iconic. The one with the Hellhounds one with the dogs and the castle thing in the background, that's one of my favorite covers of all time. I think that's an homage though, isn't it? I think it is.
That is an homage to the original Detective.
Yes, yeah. But his first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, gorgeous.
Yeah.
But that shows you right there. That's the medium for that era in the 70s, 60s, late 60s, early 70s. The medium of comics, just he understood it, or it just worked with him so well. But man, it just knock out of the park, man, every single time with him.
Yeah,
with that medium.
Yeah.
When his stuff became digital.
That Superman one he did too, where he's breaking the chains.
Yeah, that great cover.
Or the Muhammad Ali Superman.
That was probably like the epitome right there, the Ali cover. But like as soon as like he went past into digital, I don't think his stuff works with digital.
No, I don't think so.
Honestly, his stuff works in that old medium so well. And for a lot of those older artists like Carmine Infantino, like it was just.
It was more of a sketch. Like when they drew, it was more rough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Especially the Ra's al Ghul cover.
Yeah,
like,
it was
if you look at that,
rough.
it is rough.
Yeah.
But man, it works.
Oh yeah.
And like holding that in your hands, just like, oh man, it's like I'm holding like a brick of gold or something. Like it's so cool and iconic, and just I could keep collecting just that one issue over and over, and I'd never be mad.
Right.
I'd just be like, oh, another one.
Yeah, that's how I am with a certain book. But I get it,
Denny O'Neil worked with him on a lot of those. He was the writer, but like he helped co-create a lot of those characters. I think the pairing of them was great. But they dealt with a lot of those current modern day topics, which are still a lot of them relevant today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, we really appreciate you coming in today.
I got a couple questions here. I got a couple easy, little fun questions here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, DC or Marvel? I know. What do you think? Yeah, for your personal characters, which one?
Zatanna for me is probably my favorite. Catwoman, definitely favorite. Savage Land Rogue, awesome character. Love that. Love drawing the outfit. I would never get sick of that. I got to do a Storm cover recently for X-Men that I'm really proud about. It's a Michael Turner homage, but like the voice actress actually came up to me from the original X-Men and the new series. Obviously, they're still using her. And she came into my booth at MegaCon, and she was so sweet. But I knew the pressure was on because I knew she was going to have that at her table. For MegaCon.
The voice actor for 97? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so she came back there and we got a picture together and stuff like that. And I told her like the reason this looks the way it does is because like I work well mostly under pressure, but not in terms of like deadlines, in terms of like there's a lot riding on this. Like in terms of like it was going to represent her at her booth. And so like that cover was blown up to like 20 feet, not 20 feet, probably 12, 10, something like that, right behind her at her table. And it was glowing.
That's cool.
It was lit up.
That's awesome.
And so like there's lightning and dark clouds on it. And then it's Storm in like all her glory. And
that's going to be awesome for you.
Animated outfit too. Oh man, I would have taken that display home.
Right.
Like give me a break. That would have been awesome.
You got a picture of it?
Yeah, I have pictures. Yeah, I'd have to dig in my phone. But like, actually her picture is tagged on my Instagram account.
Okay.
So if you find me on Instagram, it's Zerdy1.
Zerdy1.
Yeah. But like she was just a sweetheart, and like but the pressure was on for that. So like I knew like but I was really proud of that cover. But like as far as Marvel and DC go, DC was my first goal by far. And like Marvel was just the icing on the cake, so to speak.
It's like when you do Marvel, it's like you've made it.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like,
DC
with DC though, like there's still like a voice there that I can have more so than I can have at Marvel. Just in the sense that the editors are much more harsh at Marvel. Like they'll have you nitpick something like a couple times, and that's not to knock them at all. Like that's, you know, they're doing what they're doing. That's their thing.
They're doing something right over there, you know.
Yeah,
because they're outselling DC like tremendously.
Just not the movies is a whole other topic, but like.
Not the cartoon movies. The cartoon movies do pretty good.
Oh, for Marvel or DC?
Oh, DC, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I still love DC though. I've got a special place in my heart for DC.
Yeah, I do too.
And like I grew up on the X-Men cartoon though, like 97 X-Men and stuff.
Did you watch the new one?
Not yet.
Oh,
I watched like the first like 5 minutes, and then I had to I was like, oh, I need to look this up for this cover. I had to do research for this cover, so I was like, I think
it's awesome.
Going in. No, awesome. I heard it's awesome. I'm trying to like get a time where I have time to watch it and not just like look over as I'm like working on something else, you know.
I feel like it seamlessly like goes into it from back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, it's like I feel like it never left off.
I've seen a few clips and they look phenomenal. They look better than the ones back in the day.
Yeah, but it's almost like they kept the same style in a way also. Like you could tell it's a little better, like but at the same time the way they walk, the way, you know what I mean, they wanted to keep it true to the original.
100%,
which I really like. Well, I want to thank you,
man,
Nathan, for coming out, man. That was awesome. Sweet. We appreciate it. And what was Zerdy?
Just Zerdy.com, SZERDY.com.
And then your Instagram?
Zerdy1, SZERDY, and the number 1.
So for everyone living under a rock that doesn't know who Nathan Zerdy is, look that up. You can see all his a lot of his covers on there, his work, originals. Do you sell your originals at all?
I sell a lot of them, like usually through Whatnot. Some I keep. I've got a stack in my closet just because, you know, it's like a child to me sometimes. Like,
I can see that.
Don't want to give away all your kids.
Yeah. All right. So. Well, I mean, that's one thing I would definitely be interested in owning is one of your originals.
Tell you, man.
Yeah. So, and with that, this is going to be a wrap. So, my name's Marco. This is Arkham Asylum Comics. We are 2550 South Nova Road in Daytona Beach, and my partner in crime
is Joe.
And this is episode 3. This wraps it up. And wait for us 2 weeks from now. Same bat time, same bat channel.